How's it going, guys? Well, in this one, we're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers again and who actually potentially has leverage in this situation. Because if you look at the two fan bases or read across the internet about the two fan bases, a lot of Packer fans are, including myself, are kind of set on a first-round pick. Some have gone so far as 2 first-round picks, which I think is insane. Then on the Jets side, you have a lot of fans clamoring that he should be traded for a conditional 4th-round pick or 3rd-round pick, similar to what the Brett Favre deal was. And I think that's also astronomically absurd on the other side. And yes, we can actually compare that deal with the Brett Favre one, but this situation seems a bit different. So to start off, why is this different? I feel like in this scenario, compared to the Brett Favre one, the Jets have a legitimate shot at the Super Bowl this year if they had a quarterback. In my eyes, the way I view the Jets, they have a very good defense, very young receiving crew with the rookie of the year in Garrett Wilson, a very good, and yes, he tore his ACL, good running back and a running back tandem at that. They were really just missing a quarterback. So similar to how like the Bucs seem to be missing a quarterback with Jameis Winston, then they got Tom Brady and won the whole thing. That's kind of how I view the Jets. And I don't know how the Jets organization looks at their team or how they view this team, but I feel like the Jets have a very short window in where they could make a very good run at the Super Bowl, especially with a quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' caliber at the helm. And then adding on to all of that, the Jets have pretty much shown their entire hand. They personally visited Aaron Rodgers right after his darkness retreat out of nowhere, including the owner of Woody Johnson and the head coach and Nathaniel Hackett and a bunch of other coaches to his house to talk to him, to try to lure him over to the New York Jets, and they felt confident they could land him based off whatever conversations they had. Then, to go further, free agency is hit, and there's no more QBs that are viable for the Jets. Derek Carr is signed with the Saints. You have Jimmy Garoppolo that is signed with the Raiders. And those were probably the other top 2 quarterbacks in the free agency that you could go for to try to make a Super Bowl run with or attempt to. But they're not of Aaron Rodgers' caliber, even if he's past his prime and he had a down year last year. And then adding on top of that, they've also shown their hand even more in actually signing Allen Lazard. Because I feel like if they weren't going for Aaron Rodgers, they would not go for Allen Lazard. And whether that might be an Aaron Rodgers hire or like influencing to sign him, or Nathaniel Hackett, or they truly believe in his skill set, which I feel like, once again, they wouldn't have signed him if Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to go there, most likely. They wouldn't have signed him. And with all that, it's obvious that the Jets are pretty much all in with Aaron Rodgers, and they're just playing chicken. Now, on to the Packers side. Why I believe they have all the leverage. They don't care, really, if Aaron Rodgers stays or goes. Because either way, first off, they're going to have to absorb a hefty dead cap hit. Whether he retires, he stays, which he stays or retires, or gets traded. Either way, they are going to have to absorb a huge cap hit because of his ridiculous contract. Second, they have the quarterback that they want to move on to. We have Jordan Love. They're set in stone in moving towards Jordan Love and seeing what he has. So really, this whole Aaron Rodgers situation, they can just sit on it because they don't plan, but they probably won't plan on him playing this year for them. And this is me looking at it objectively. I feel like the Packers have more of the leverage because really the New York Jets, they haven't been to the playoffs in over a decade. It's been forever for them. With Aaron Rodgers going on the Pat McAfee, not pretty much, but he stated he intends to play with the Jets, just caused a fury over there in the Jets fan base, ecstatic that they're going to have Aaron Rodgers as their QB. And it's pretty much just up to the organization to trade for him. And then that's where the Packers are potentially playing hardball. And I understand it from the Packers' point of view. You're not going to trade away a Hall of Fame QB, yes, past his prime, but still a really good QB where he had a down year due to a lot of variables, in my opinion, and trade him for nothing. Like, you're going to want to get some type of good compensation. Most of the Packer fan base, I'm pretty sure, is on the same set or same mind idea. It's like, Either you can have him and give us a first round pick at the least. The people that want to I don't think that's even possible. But give us a first round pick at the least. Or he could just retire and stay a Packer and retire a Packer. And he's only had to play for one team. We're fine with that. We've kind of come to terms that Aaron Rodgers will not be our QB next year. And we're moving on to Jordan Love. And we would be fine if we didn't trade Aaron Rodgers if you're just going to give us peanuts. But on the Jets side, I feel like there could be a lot of outrage if the Jets organization looked a little cheap in trying to acquire one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, who is still a really, really good quarterback, and ruin their very short window where they could go on a Super Bowl run and actually make the playoffs for the first time in over a decade and maybe win the Super Bowl. Now, as for the compensation, like I said, some Packer fans and a lot of people say we should get 2 first-round picks. I think that's insane. Conditional 4th-round pick that a lot of Jets fans are asking for, I think that's insane. And a lot of media people are saying that the first-round pick this year might not be on the table, and I can kind of see that, but I think it should be. And that might be where they are trying to negotiate this, because there are 2 deadlines for us in a way. So obviously the first one's the draft, because if we are trying to go for this year's first round pick, we would want that 13th overall pick. So the draft is the first deadline. Then the second kind of deadline for us, which depends if the Packers want to slightly spread out this cap hit, is June 1st. So if we trade him before June 1st, we're just going to incur a straight up 40 mil cap hit in dead money. But if he's traded afterwards, we'll incur about a 15 mil cap hit this year and another 25 next year. So it depends if the Packers just want to try to do this in one shot and just absorb the entire hit this year so we can just reset our cap, or spread it out. And then it kind of depends on what the future plans are with the organization, and maybe depending on how they feel about Jordan Love, which I feel like they feel strongly about, and they're going to pick up his 5th-year option. So with us picking up his 5th-year option, it'll be about a 20 mil hit or more, depending on how he does this year, next year. So there are some deadlines on the Packers sides where it lowers their leverage, but not significantly to where the Jets kind of have power. I feel like the Jets are kind of at the whim of the Packers a little bit with all that. And really, the Packers can just sit on this. They don't have to trade him. Will we like to get something for Aaron Rodgers? Yes, but not if it's just a 3rd or 4th round pick. And so at the end of the day, I feel like if I'm of the Packers brass, I would ask for a 1st round pick and a conditional 3rd round pick next year, because of course we don't know if Rodgers is going to retire. And I'm sure that's on the Jets ownership's mind. He's been thinking about retirement. He almost retired before he went into Darko mode, as Rasul Douglas like to call it. So that's on the back of their minds. But I would be fine with trading a 1st round pick for this type of caliber QB to make the playoffs and go on a Super Bowl run, and what I believe could be a Super Bowl run. And if he retires, that's all the Packers get. But if he comes back next year for another year, that's where that conditional 3rd round can come into play. 3rd round if he plays like 50% of the snaps. But if you make the playoffs and he plays 75% of the snaps, then it could be a 2nd round, and we'll call it dead even. And I think that's kind of a fair value for Aaron Rodgers, especially with the circumstances the Jets are currently in. And if the Jets don't end up trading for Aaron Rodgers, they're stuck with Zach Wilson, or they could try to make an offer towards Lamar Jackson. Yes, they'd have to give up 2 firsts in that scenario and pay him a boatload of money. But I feel like whatever contract they would offer Lamar Jackson, the Ravens will end up matching that, and they won't get Lamar Jackson. I think this whole Lamar Jackson, him being out there, is just to say, hey, see what your best offer is, because what you're asking for is ridiculous, and we're just going to match it. So I don't think Lamar Jackson is an actual viable trade or target for the Jets, which leaves just Aaron Rodgers, or you could try to trade for Ryan Tannehill, because I'm sure he's probably on the market, but that's not really viable either. But let me know what you think down in the comments. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, go back, go.